Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliot's PT podcast by Renae Elliott. Hello, and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. You know, today we had a evening out the other night for group members. We went out and it was really nice to see people outside of the classes. So that was really, really nice. We went to a place and that was friendly for kids because for me, if my kids are happy when I'm out, it makes life a lot easier. It was really nice. I made sure that my husband came and lots of other partners came, and it was really nice for other people to be chatting. So that was really nice. But it was interesting. One of the members was talking, and and I thought it would be an interesting topic to talk about. And I should try to get her on here to explain her point of view, which would be nice. So this member is currently in the middle of good old menopause, and she is struggling with hot sweats and, insomnia and different things like that. And she's been really amazing in focusing on herself. And she's been looking at her nutrition to help her with it. And she's got different things that she does, and she's doing really, really amazing with it. But the point that she said I would like more people to hear, she said she wished she started earlier. So she wished that she started focusing on herself and her body and getting things right before she'd hit menopause. And this is what I'm urging to you, because it is something that I'm really passionate about, that, it's getting started and getting started before it gets bad. That's broken prevention. Work on preventing it, not when it gets there, then I'll deal. When it gets bad, then I'll deal with it. But work on preventing it, and maybe it won't get as bad as you think it will, or maybe or anything, not just menopause. But she said, I wish I knew sooner. She goes, I wish somebody had told me to start sooner, and to start looking into exercising and how to eat and all of those things. And I really was just like, yes, everybody should. And I forget that not everybody knows that. For me, I'm sure you've heard me tell me a million times that my why is to lead a healthy, active life and to be as fit as I can, regardless of what age I am. So that is my why. That is why I am so passionate about, being active, and that is what drives me every day. And, I tell everybody, there is lots of times that I don't bounce out of bed. There's lots of times that I go, oh my God, I'd prefer some more sleep because I've been all night up with the kids. Or recently we had roadworks at the front of our house. So they're resurfacing the road and night work. So, you can hear the trucks or that, and yes, of course, there are not every day that I wake up, I'm not bubbling and bouncing out of bed, but I still get up. And I get up because I know how important it is for me. And it is important for me to stay fit and active, so then I can lead this great life. And that is what I want for all of you. And please, it was just really interesting to hear and don't leave it too late, because whatever you've heard about menopause, whatever you've heard about aging, whatever you've heard about any of those things, I'm about to turn 40, and I remember when my mum turned 40 and she was saying, oh my God, she thought her whole life was over. I can't wait to turn 40. We're going on a very exciting cruise, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I have all my friends and family coming, so it is going to be really, really lovely. But it's not the a certain age is not the be all and end all. And it doesn't have to be, before I had my kids, I got told a million times my body would never be the same. or once you have kids, you can never go back to the weight that you were, any of those things. And it's all, that stuff does not have to be your reality, and it does not have to be true. And I don't believe that to be true. And, after I had children, I was, I have more muscle than what I've ever had. And, I'm a different size, but, people said, oh, your hips expand and you can never, that's what people told me, I fitted into smaller clothes after I had children than what I did before I had kids. So, I don't know how that, that philosophy's gone in my eyes, and other things. So I want you to look at this and to think, start before. Don't wait until you're at a point where you are in so much pain that you can't do anything. Prevention is the key. So I really try to preach to everybody about having an awareness of your body. And when you can tune into your body more and you can recognize the cues that your body is giving you, because your body is your best teacher. And when you can recognize the cues that your body's giving you, you can recognize that, that this makes you feel this way. When you can pick up on that, and then you can work on managing, stress, and when all of these things, it doesn't all pile up. The same thing as, stretching is something that is so overlooked. It is so overlooked, and it does not seem, people see it as boring. And I used to be one of them. I used to be somebody that would go to the gym and I wouldn't stretch before I started, and I would just get into it, and then I would finish and I would go home. I didn't see stretching as important. But now that I stretch, there is this whole flexible world out there, and it feels so good, and it makes your body feel so good. And I really, really believe, half of the injuries that people have, or the ailments on them, would be prevented if people just had more awareness of their body, and they were aware of how it worked, what certain things meant, what certain things meant to them, and how they could fix it. Because, you can really fix a lot of things in your body. We had a friend, and he had a job where he had to climb in the roof. So part of his job was always climbing the roof. And he got to an age, I'm not 100% sure of the age he got to, but he had to sell his business because he could no longer work, because he couldn't crawl in the roofs anymore. And it made me really sad, because I said, if only he had known about stretching and strengthening those areas, he could have prevented that. So he had to give up his job. He sold his business, and then he went and had back surgery. And he had back surgery, and after and everyone's different, but he had this back surgery, and he felt worse after the surgery than what he did before. And it just made me feel really sad, because if he'd known, if maybe as part of his job, I don't know, but, maybe as part of his training in his job, they put a requirement to do some form of exercise or strengthening, because you are in this position, to look at strengthening that. Because, like I said, this stuff can be prevented. It can be prevented, and it can be managed. And that's what I want people to have, is this awareness. Because if you have this awareness, you can fix it and change it, and start early. Don't start when it's too late. I use my dad as an example. My dad is, he's had a hip replacement, a knee replacement, and he's just had, so at the start of the year, he had one ankle fused, and now he's on his second one. He just had his second ankle fused a couple of weeks ago. And I said to my dad, we need to really work on strengthening all these areas, because any pain, it starts from the knee and it works its way up. It starts from your feet. So everything starts from your feet. So if you're coming to my class or you're seeing me, I'm going to ask you to take your shoes off. Take your shoes off and see what your foot's doing. And I guarantee you it makes a massive difference to your performance. And when you can feel your foot on the ground, if you have knee problems, if you have trouble squatting, any of those things, it will really, really fix it. And, like I said to my dad, I said, you have these issues now, and he's only in his 60s. I said, let's get as strong as possible. And it is never too late. But maybe if he started doing this stuff 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, he wouldn't be in the position he is in now. And if I think about my dad was a soccer player, and he played soccer until he was 40. He also was an electrician and put in alarms. So he did lots of crawling through roofs, and Dad did no, from what I ever saw, he never did any stretching or any, he had a very active job, but he never did any stretching or any weights or any of those things. So it's take action and be preventative. Get on top of this stuff, prevent it before it happens. And it's all possible for all of you. I watch some other people, and they're like the same age as me, and they can't get up and down off the floor. And I'm like, what? This is all possible. And I could do more than what you guys were doing when I was 9 months pregnant, but it's because I stayed active and I kept moving. And it doesn't have to be your reality. Take action today and start doing something. And, as for menopause, I am not in menopause yet, but I know it is something that will come, that is, going to come to me. And I am being preventative. I'm getting on top of it now. I am making sure, I'm, really looking at managing my stress. I'm looking at my food, re-look at my foods that work for me, foods that irritate my gut, all of those things. I'm looking at all of those stuff. I'm more in tune, the last couple of years, I tuned more into my cycle and listening to my body. And I'm not, maybe I don't have to do, these different types of activities. My level of activity has changed, which is okay. All of that stuff, because I am staying active and I'm staying on top of it in a way that works for me. And menopause is a very under-researched area, and the women that are, my mum's era, so my mum's about 65, so Dave's era was the first lot of women to go through exercise and exercise through menopause. And now more research, so, there's more research starting to come out now, but there is now more research saying in how beneficial exercising through menopause is. And, but it's only just slowly starting to trickle through now. And, so I'm saying, guys, don't get on top of it now. Get into a great exercise routine, because once you are, and all of those things, because once you are there, the maintenance is not as hard. It is not as hard as when you at first trying to build muscle or perform a new skill. Once you have this level of flexibility, you already have it. So it might take you 3 times a week to get there, but once you're there, it takes you just practicing once a week to do it. When I first had my children, every night and every morning I was on the floor working on my core, getting it strong, really rebuilding that strength up. I don't need to do that anymore because it's strong. I still need to maintain it, yes, but I don't need to be as hard at it as what I was when I first had my babies, when I was first recovering from being pregnant. So this is what I'm saying to you guys. Get onto it now. Don't wait until get onto it now, because once you've got it, the maintenance is really not hard at all. And going back to using menopause example, because that is, I guess, what inspired me to get more to talking more about this was, like I said, it is a very under-researched area, but there is more research coming out now, which is really great. And it is only going to benefit people coming, further on. But, they're saying that exercising through menopause is really beneficial. Looking at your food and looking to understand your food, track your food. So there's women, I've listened to interviews and that of women, and I have women in my class who have, changed their diet, and we've changed certain foods, and we've looked at when they're hot flushes and when they're happening and stuff. They've changed those diets, and they've noticed massive differences. And if you can look at changing those things, if you can be on top of it, then maybe, I don't know, maybe you're giving yourself a better chance of menopause not being the dreaded thing that you might hear people talk about. And I listened to another talk when they talked about it, and they were saying that, really think about how you speak about it, it is just another phase in your life, but it's an exciting phase, and see it as that next exciting phase. Don't see it as this awful, dreaded thing. But when you get on top of stuff, so the thing that is stress management, is understanding your stress and really getting on top of that, and getting on top of that younger. The younger that you can learn to manage your stress, when we when our stress levels change, and they change in all areas of our life, you know how to manage it. So there is never a perfect time to start, but I just really wanted to reach out to everybody from this conversation with a member, when she was saying she just wished she started earlier. And I've had lots of members say that. They said she just wished that somebody told her to start before she was in the midst of, so, and I believe, and again, this is from the research that I've done and from what I know, people talk about this menopausal weight gain. And it's not the weight. I don't think it's the menopause that's causing you to gain weight. I think it's that your level of activity changes. So your level of activity may change because you're feeling so tired, and you're feeling, so you might start skipping the gym, or you might not go, or you might sit more, because I believe those changes is what causes that's what causes the weight gain. We also might feel, we have this lack of energy, and our sleep is affected because you're awake through the night, all of those things. So then that changes your food. But if you can start learning about this stuff earlier, if you can start understanding how your food works for you, and maybe you can put in some strategies. So when you do feel that way, you get a meal service sent in, or you have food prepped and that's in the freezer. So it's understanding, if you can start to understand this stuff beforehand, before you're in the midst of it, before you're in, if you've got these habits already down packed, then I truly believe that, heading into menopause won't be as horrible as what people say. And other people breeze through it. So, and if you do all this preventative stuff before and you breeze through it, then that's amazing. But you've still got these great knowledge and these great set of skills that you can take with you. And that's what I believe with anything. Anything that, if I look at my first child to my second child, I was more prepared by my second because I'd had the experience of the first. So I knew to have meals prepped in the fridge, and I knew to get this help from this person and that, so that I was more on top of things. And but I only knew all this stuff through experience and through trial and error, and really getting on top of your health and exercise. And the earlier that you start, it's not as hard. If you've listened to the podcast that, I speak to my uncle who's 84, who's coming on my birthday cruise, and I can't wait. Uncle Malcolm, he's 84, and he's fit as a fiddle. He's coming on my birthday cruise. Him and his wife Barbara, they travel, they do great things. And, he talked about, he said, stay active, but you have to start when you're younger. So don't look at this, start preventing these things now. When it gets to a point, there comes a point where, I use my gran as an example, who, she's 87, and her ability and her she's really declined in the last few years, and it's been it's been really interesting to watch, but it's quite sad to watch too. In her level of activity has definitely changed. So she went from living on her own, she moved up to live with us, and she stayed with us for 6 months, and now she now lives with my parents. And her level of activity changed, so she doesn't drive now. She doesn't have to look after a house, so she's not as active during the day. She doesn't want to get out and walk about. So watching that decline, not only has she, she's lost muscle. She now shuffles. She now has to walk with a walker. She can't walk on her own. It's all of those things, but and it's a totally different era. for the female to be exercising. She was very active when she was younger. She was very active. She kept very busy through that, maintaining the house and all those things. But it's really interesting for me to watch. I've been watching this happen to her. And, it is be preventative, get on top of it. Because once you get onto it early, and as my uncle said, who, it's my grand's brother, he started, and he still gets down on the floor and he does push-ups and he gets down and gets back up again, and it's once you get there, once you have this certain level of fitness, it's not that hard to maintain. It is not that hard. And it will carry you through so many other things in your life, so many other good things that will really help you. So many other things, not just, not just the aesthetics of how you look, but, and for me, that is the very last priority on my list. It is more about staying active to prevent pain, to prevent back pain, to prevent knee pain, to lead this life because I was using the people in my life as example. My dad, he has this horrendous pain. And my dad is somebody that is, he's not really one to complain. So when my dad does complain, it's pretty serious. And, he's now can only do a very small amount of things because his ankles are in that much pain. And that's not like him. He has a scooter that he uses instead of, my mum walks and my dad's on his scooter because he can't walk anymore. They can't go for walks down the beach, or which they used to do. They can't do anything because he has bad ankles, but he's just had them fused. So hopefully that will change for them. And, but if only he was on top of it earlier, and maybe he could have prevented the pain that he's in now. And that's what I recommend to everybody. Whatever stage of life you're at, it is never ever too late. It is never too late to improve your health and your fitness. But the younger that you are, the better it is to start, to find a routine and to maintain it. Don't get cocky and think, well, I'm young now, I don't need to worry about it now, because stuff will hit you when you don't realize. It'll hit you before you even know it. Like this example of one of our members who, menopause hit her quite quickly and she didn't realize. And she said, I wish somebody told me to start earlier. So start early. The earlier you can start. Guys, don't wait till, the other thing I see all the time is with mums. Now, one of the most important things you can do is work on rebuilding your core strength. So it's rebuilding that core strength from the very bottom layer of the core up. Now, I have mums with, 14, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds that have never worked on their core strength. And, you want to, and they still have abdominal separations, and we can fix it all through work. But the sooner that you get on top of it, then that could prevent years of pain. Years of not being able to do things because you have back pain. Years of this, get on top of all of this stuff now. And this is what I ask, it is never too late. It's never too early to start, and it is never too late to start, but you just need to start. And being active and all of that has so many other benefits. It is more than the aesthetics, but to lead a good quality life where you can do things, you can do basic things, like my poor gran now, she can't walk very far. She can't walk very far because she hasn't used her legs enough. She doesn't, and she's lost a lot of her muscle, and get on top of it, because once you get to this level, and once you're there, you're there. And it's not that hard. Muscles have this great memory, and and it's not that hard to maintain once you have this. So there was a person that I follow, and he is a trainer, and he he's from the UK, and he had like long COVID, and he probably really struggled for 18 months. So he couldn't exercise properly for 18 months. He did stuff here and there. And in that whole period of time where he had this big level of inactivity, he only lost 1 kilo of muscle, because he had this maintenance level, and he was able to kind of maintain it during this phase of when he was quite unwell. So that's what I'm saying. Once you're at this level, it's quite easy to maintain. And the earlier that you start, and you work on preventing any other injuries, or get me onto stretching, because it is one of, I really believe that more than half, 90% of the injuries that people's had would be prevented if they stretched more. And you can prevent all this stuff. You can really prevent it. So my message to you today is just start. Find something and start. There is never a perfect time. There is never a perfect moment. There is always going to be something going on, but find something that works for you, whether it means that you do 5 minutes throughout the day. Do 5 little increments throughout the day. That's what I do. I do little bits throughout the day, and they all add up, because I just fit in what I can when I can. So do those things. Just start and get your kids involved. If you get them involved, and they'll love it too. And it is never too late. And the sooner that you start, you're going to be on top of things before anything hits you. And as I said with my why, I feel that the stronger and the fitter I am, no matter what life throws at me, I will be able to fight it off better, because I'm giving myself a better chance. I have no idea what life will throw at me, but I am hoping, I know that by staying fit and active, eating well, and exercising and, focusing, looking after my mind too, with all of those things, I will be able to fight off whatever life throws at me. So if this inspires you, go out today and just look at starting to do something. It is not too late, and get on top of it before prevention. Prevention is the key. And if you know somebody else that this may inspire, please share. And if you have any questions for me, or you want to know how you can start, if you're worried that you have an injury and you can't do this because you've got this, trust me, there is always a way, and there is always something that will work for you. And my specialty is making sure that we find a way that you can be active and that you can stay active in the level of ability that you're currently at. All right, I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Elliott's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them, and ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com, and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.